Hey y'all, hey. Um, Story time, as you can see by the title. This one is going to be a little bit different because I have not did horror since I wrote Hell in Houston. So I'm thinking about doing another story, and this one is going to be horror. Let me know what y'all think, okay? So hold on one second. It's inspired by the Ghost Beyond. So let's see. The Ghost Beyond is a hour and 30-minute horror movie about a writer and his uh, PhD wife and her 8-year-old son. Right? They moved from New York proper to upstate New York, I believe, and stuff starts to happen as soon as he brings alcohol into the house. There was already some weird stuff going on with the son, but they brought bourbon into the house, and so of course things are now going to go off the rails. Okay. You were my destiny. You're all I need to get by. All right, so let's go. Y'all ready? Okay, brace yourselves. You got your something to drink? I got me some water, and I got an orange. Okay, so let's do this. Okay. All right. The clapboard paint of the bunkhouse on Saratoga Street was perpetually peeling, revealing ghost layers of seafoam green, then faded yellow, then the raw splintered wood beneath. It stood foursquare and unforgiving in East Boston, a two-story barracks for the city's transients and short-term laborers. 20 co-ed adults crammed into its confines, 10 to a floor, each bed a steel frame cage, each locker a whisper of personal space. The air inside, thick with the smell of damp wool, stale coffee, and something vaguely metallic clung to the back of your throat. Our cast of characters were was a predictable Boston stew: weary construction workers, wide-eyed foreign exchange students on work visas, a couple of faded academics, and me, a barrister named Chloe, saving pennies for a real apartment. I had the top bunk by the window on the second floor, a sliver of sky, my only refuge from the collective claustrophobia. So if you've ever been into a hostel, that's the way that it looks, okay? All right, let's keep going. I may go to the Green Turtle and get some shots and add it for the story. What do you think? Okay, let me know. All right, the whispers started subtly, a creak from the floorboards below, long after everyone was supposedly asleep. The clatter of a locker door, despite, I'm sorry, y'all, dry skin. Hold on, let me get some lotion, okay? Hold on. Lotion. I got Origins and I got white tea and rose. I think I'm gonna go with the white tea and rose one. Okay. Let me put on some lotion so I can just stop. think I'm gonna try Lubriderm again. What do y'all think? I'll go back to Lubriderm. I've been trying to use the Neutrogena, but I think back to Lubriderm. Okay. The whispers started subtly, a creak from the floorboards below, long after everyone was supposedly asleep. The clatter of a locker door, despite every resident swearing they'd locked theirs tight. Most of us blamed the old building settling, or the resident known only as Sleepy Joe, who often wandered in the dead of the night muttering to himself. Then the dreams began. Have you been having nightmares lately? I have. I have. All right. Not my dreams, but their dreams. Okay? I'd wake up heart hammering with vivid, unsettling images that weren't my own. The crushing weight of cold water, the desperate gasp of air, the chilling sound of creaking wood and distant screams. I'd see faces, not just of my bunkmates, but of strangers, contorted in fear. It started with Marcus, a young guy from Ireland, who woke up screaming one night, drenched in sweat. He swore he dreamt of being trapped in a sinking ship, water rushing in through splintered planks. We all tried to calm him down, dismissing it as a nightmare, a product of too much cheap whiskey. But then Maria, a quiet student from Spain, started scratching at her arm in her sleep, whimpering about invisible hands dragging her down. Her dreams were of falling endlessly into a dark, freezing abyss. The bunkhouse atmosphere curdled. Everyone was on edge. The usual camaraderie evaporated, replaced by suspicion and fear. We avoided eye contact with each other, each person wondering if the terror in their own subconscious was a shared affliction. Then, one stormy night, a real nor'easter howled through East Boston, rattling the windows in their frames. The old building groaned like a living thing. The power flickered, plunging us into momentary darkness, only to return with a weak, sickly yellow glow. It was during one of these blackouts that Sleepy Joe, perched on the edge of his bottom bunk, started to sing. His voice, usually a slurred murmur, was clear, ancient, and chillingly melodic. It was a sea shanty, mournful and full of dread, about a ship named the Orion, lost in a storm off the coast of Boston. She took 20 souls to their watery grave, lads, he croaked, his eyes wide and unfocused, fixed on something none of us could see. 20 souls, and the bunkhouse remembers every one. A collective gasp went through the room. The air grew heavy, thick with a cold dread that cut through the stale warmth. Suddenly, a loud metallic clang echoed from the first floor. Then a guttural scream cut short. Chaos erupted. People stumbled from their bunks, tripping over bags in the dim light. We heard pounding, scratching, and then a strange sloshing sound, like water pooling on a floor. "It's happening again," Sleepy Joe whispered, his voice oddly calm now, almost resigned. The sea always calls its own back to her. Fear-fueled adrenaline propelled me to the stairs. The railing felt cold and slimy under my hand. Below, the first floor was a nightmare. The central aisle was awash in a thin layer of dark, swirling water that smelled faintly of brine and something else, something coppery. Bodies were thrashing, not in panic, but as if caught in an unseen current. Blankets and belongings floated grotesquely. Marcus was on his hands and knees, clawing at the floorboards, his face blue, gasping for air that wasn't there. Maria was rigid in her bunk, her eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, her body slowly, impossibly sinking into her mattress as if it were quicksand. Then, from the depths of the shadowy room, a voice, deep and resonant, seemed to emanate from the very walls. It spoke of injustice, of a broken hull, of lives unfairly lost to the cold, unforgiving Atlantic Ocean. It was a voice of bitter resentment, echoing the shanty Sleepy Joe had sung. I realized with sickening certainty that the bunkhouse wasn't just an old building, it was a tomb, a memory preserved in wood and plaster, waiting for the right confluence of storm and desperation to reclaim its due. The dreams, the whispers, the metallic smell, they weren't just the quirks of an old house, they were the rising tide of its past. As the water on the first floor mysteriously began to rise, swirling around my terrified bunkmates, I felt a chilling pull at my own feet. The air around me grew colder, my lungs began to ache, and the taste of salt filled my mouth. The screams from below became gurgles. The bunkhouse was pulling us down, one by one, into the watery grave it had always remembered, completing a tragedy that had begun over a century ago. And I knew with the terrifying certainty of the drowning that soon 20 more souls would join the special crew of the Orion, trapped forever within the peeling paint and creaking bones of the bunkhouse on Saratoga Street. I think it's pretty good. Let me know what y'all think. In the comments below. Right? Righto. If you haven't subscribed, do so. Like, share, comment below.